Good morning and welcome to Rising. We've got another terrific show for you today, especially since Briahna Joy Gray is back in studio. It's nice to see you, Briahna.
It's good to be back.
I've missed you.
I've missed you too, Robby. It's been tough to be away, especially with all the excellent news and interviews you've been doing while I've been gone.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's great to have you back.
Well, today we have Washington Post reporter Dan Diamond to fill us in on the U.S. response to the monkeypox outbreak. And later we'll have Norman Solomon with us to discuss why progressive group Roots Action is campaigning to ditch Joe Biden in 2024.
But before we get into all of that, President Biden said, well, he doesn't think a recession is imminent while taking questions from the White House press pool. Let's listen.
And Mr. President, we're getting GDP numbers on Thursday. How worried should Americans be that we could be in a recession?
We're not going to be in a recession, in my view.
White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre reiterated the sentiment, as well as responding to questions of what the administration's definition of a recession is.
Next week's a very big week for the economy. So I read the CEA blog. Is the White House trying to change the common definition of a recession because next Thursday the GDP numbers coming out are going to show that we've been in a recession?
So let me say this, the strength of our labor market along with the other economic factors is what we generally see in a recession or even what is not what we generally see in a recession or even a pre-recession, because we're seeing the strength of the economy and the labor market. So that's really important to note there because those are key elements as we talk about that, as folks keep asking us about that. So Americans across the country are back to work at a historic level. 21 states, the most in history, have unemployment rates at or below 3%. That is an important number to note. 14 states are now at their lowest unemployment rates since this series began in 1976. And last month, the unemployment rate was a new low in 8 states. So again, the strength of our labor market, along with the economic indicators, is not what we generally see as we talk about recession or even pre-recession.
But the growth of the job for the 3 months trend, the growth of job growth in the U.S. is shrinking, is decreasing, and 7.5 million people, a growing number, are multi-jobs, meaning they have to work more than one job to afford a living. So is jobs really a good indicator there?
Look, here's what I would say. We've always talked about the strength of our economy. We've always talked about how historic it's been, and we've always talked about the transitioning, right? The transitioning to more stable and steady growth. And so to your point about the job growth there, this is what we have been kind of stating for the past several months.
I mean, these discussions always show the limitations of this format where the adversarial press job is quite reasonably to ask adversarial questions and to get the spokesperson for the administration to concede that something's wrong, as it is. And the job of the spokesperson for the administration is to deflect and deny and find the silver lining and say, well, I'm going to create a new definition for what a recession is. And by this new definition I've just invented on the spot, look at the employment market.
I mean, yes, but I completely agree. It also, though, seems to me to show the limitations of some of the metrics we use to decide how the economy is doing. The fact that you can take cherry pick numbers and say, well, jobs are technically stronger, or this, that, and the other. Look at, the Dow is doing well. There have always been these indicators that had very little to do with how people are feeling in their homes. Jobs numbers can be great, but if the wages aren't keeping up with inflation, as they haven't done because we haven't had a minimum wage raise for the longest time in American history since 2009, then the reporter is right. People are increasingly taking multiple jobs, picking up a gig shift, driving Ubers, doing multiple things to try to make that gap close. And looking at these kind of flat numbers that have historically been used to, make political pitches for political reasons in contexts like these have never had any relationship to how people are feeling. And I think, I've said this before, it would be nice if occasionally people in Karine's position would level with the public and say, look, the numbers are actually strong in this X, Y, and Z way. But I know that a lot of people are still suffering, and our job in the White House is to try to fix that. And we're on it.
And the food costs are such an important, who cares if it's an economic indicator, whatever that means. Right. It's something that people actually care about. It's what they're signaling they care about. So we have to get that under control, whether or not you want to characterize the economy as good, which I think is wrong, or fair or bad.
Yeah.
But even CNN's Chris Cillizza is criticizing Biden's spin of what a recession means.
I get that why they want to do it from a political perspective, but like you can't fake this.
No, I was laughing to myself with the "in my view" thing that Caitlin highlighted, because it's like, well, in my view, I should be drafted into the NBA. Like the NBA executives didn't agree with that.
Millions of dollars, right?
Like it doesn't really matter what you think. There is a technical definition: 2 straight quarters of negative economic growth. They clearly believe that is likely to come to pass later this week. They're trying to pre-bud it. To your point, we get why they're doing it politically.
Right.
At the same time, we have these terms for reasons. You don't have to like it. Of course they don't like it, because the economy, Joe
Basically a textbook.
Joe
right?
Biden's handling of the economy was at 25 or 30% in our most recent poll. Like, yeah, it's a problem for them. This adds to the problem. But you don't get to change the nomenclature in the middle of a campaign because it doesn't work for you.
Well, and again, your voters are going to feel what they feel in their lives, no matter what you say.
In my view, Chris Cillizza should absolutely be drafted into the NBA. That would be exceedingly entertaining. Meanwhile, Walmart is cutting down prices as shoppers are forced to spend money on necessities only. And per CNBC, more Americans plan to tap into their Social Security benefits early due to the country's general pessimistic economic outlook.
Well, it ain't good.
It's not. And look, to be clear, there have been Republicans who have tried to structure social programs that by design draw on people's Social Security payments. I believe it was Ted Cruz who countered some of Bernie Sanders' proposals, saying, sure, we can give money to childcare, you just got to take it out on the back end. And people were rightly upset because Social Security is so crucial, and we can't turn a blind eye to these kinds of things just when it's coming at as a consequence of Democratic proposals. Joe Biden was a person who actively tried to cut Social Security, and the left, Bernie Sanders, made some strong statements, probably the strongest statements he made against Joe Biden in the campaign, over his feeling that was not a core American principle that needed to be protected. And now that people are kind of self-selecting into doing the worst thing because they're so desperate, I think this is the time for Democrats to stand up and show what they're really made of. This should be the kind of issue that distinguishes Democrats from Republicans.
Well, and Trump also broke. Trump broke with some Republican orthodoxy on that front as well, the kind of Paul Ryan era consensus on getting entitlement spending under control. And Trump just said nope to all of that. Look, if you want to preserve those programs, though, I think you need to spend within your kind of limitations on other fronts. Maybe we turn off the endless spigot of weapons sales to Ukraine. Maybe we look at trimming the defense budget. Maybe we look elsewhere for things we can cut back so that we can, if we're going to make an investment in Americans and protect Americans who need help, okay, fine. But we can't just spend endlessly on every project, and Congress doesn't care about that. Both sides just complain about the spending when the other side does it, but then when they come to power, there is no control whatsoever. And so it's hard to take anyone in the Democratic Party. Well, the Democratic Party doesn't really even talk about controlling spending very much. The Republican Party lies to you that it will ever control spending when they won't. They never would.
Yeah, you have even leftists voting to expand the military budget. To your point, I think that's absolutely right. You have billions of dollars spent to bail out the airlines who turn around and are not doing their jobs.
Right? We were going to keep all those pilots. Nope.
Forced retirement for you. So yeah, I hope that voters are looking to these kinds of things, and that there are some politicians somewhere that are making these kind of distinctions evident as people head to the polls this fall. I look forward to hearing more from you, Robby, in the Form of Your Radar coming up next.